Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I got a really exciting video for you today. I get a lot of people that reach out to me and sort of ask for help in coaching or suggestions. And one such email came from Linda Thompson, who did a great job of outlining who she is, why it's important to her, and asking for help. And I've said, you know what? I think she's got the framework. Let's just record a video so that I can help Linda, and we can hopefully help some others. So welcome to the show, Linda. How are you?
Oh, really good. So glad to be here. Thank you, Michael.
Oh, very cool. So why don't we just, introduce yourself to the folks and sort of outline who you are, where you are in the country and sort of how you found this channel.
Yes. My name is Linda Thompson. I live in the Bay Area. Michael's in my backyard, 30 minutes away where I live, right by San Francisco Airport in a town called Burlingame, California. And my husband and we grew up in the Bay Area our whole lives. We have two beautiful young boys under 5. And we were just trying to figure out how we can plan for our retirement. We're in our 40s. We kind of met late. We started our family late. Like you, Michael, we invested in the stock market in our early days.
That didn't go well.
No, it didn't go well. We did the .com and the financial crisis killed us. And, we realized we were so far off our retirement plan, and we're like, what are we going to do to get back on track? We'd love to retire early, which now seems like impossible. And now we're thinking we're going to be 85 by the time we retire from relying on the stock market. And so, I ran across I was listening to Michael Blanc and saw your podcast with him, and hearing your story and what you did and how you're able to do it while having a demanding full-time job and still be able to acquire assets and be able to grow a portfolio where you could retire early. And it's like, sign me up. That's what I want. How do I do that? And so I got so excited hearing your story and that you're right in my backyard that I went and got your book and read it in like 2 seconds flat. And, just loved everything you said. And I did all I was supposed to do. I went and got an MBA, actually in real estate finance of all things.
Oh, wow.
And I've learned more about real estate from you than I have from all the years of schooling and actually all the jobs I've had in real estate. And so I'm trying to figure out how we can apply what you've learned and your wonderful program that you seem to offer for new investors like myself, and how we can actually do this while maintaining a family and a full-time job.
Yeah.
So wanted to ask a bunch of questions that I thought might help other newbies like myself who may live in the Bay Area or in the rest of the country who would be interested in your Pride of Ownership program.
Sure.
And wanted to learn from you how it works.
Yep.
How you can get us comfortable with a market we know nothing about, which is Fresno.
Yep.
And we like Fresno because it's, like you said, it's a 3-hour drive from here. And it's the only place that really seems to be cash flowing. That's close enough for a drive for us. And so would love to take advantage of your knowledge and experience and what you've done in your career.
Okay.
And see if we can make it work for us.
I think that's a great plan. And again, we're so similar, right? We're both in our 40s. My stepdaughter is a little bit older. She's 27, so she's out of the house. Versus youngsters at 5. So in the stock market crash and all that, I know exactly where you are. So I know you prepared a bunch of questions. So why don't we just jump in and we'll see where we take this together. Okay.
So I wanted you to walk me through how this program works, because I have no idea from the, how you help us get comfortable with the market to how do we pick an asset to invest in?
Okay.
How, what part of the team do we get to work with on your side of the business? Just all that. And I have a bunch of other questions that come along with that, but I'd love to know from A to Z how the step-by-step process of your program.
Yeah. So the program that Linda's referring to is something that I've called Pride of Ownership Rentals. Something that I've been pretty clear about on this channel is when I retired, right, we retired by being landlords, right? We bought one rental at a time, hence the book, hence the story. But now that I'm retired, right, I have more time on my hands. And something that I wanted to do because I had to do something, right? I'm such a type A person that if I didn't find something else to throw myself at, I would just get another job because I would drive Olivia crazy. So something I found is I can go out and buy what I call slumlord properties. Again, these are properties that probably should be condemned or certainly not lived in. It's a sad fact that many of them are lived in. That I could buy them for a fair price. I could spend somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000 turning them into what I call pride of ownership rentals, and then sell and make a small profit, right? My vision for this program was I wanted to create assets that I would have bought or should have bought when I started. And we could talk more about that in a separate question. But what I wanted to produce was assets that would be easy for full-time employees to manage, especially if they conservatively finance, with 30% down. They're already leased, i.e. turnkey. Really, there's nothing left for the buyer to think about, right? They can go in and do their spreadsheets and see what the yield is. But most importantly, know with at least a fair amount of certainty that the asset is repaired, it's fully leased at market, and it's just off and running by themselves. So that's kind of the program. I certainly could make more money if I flip these quality properties to owner occupants. It's not about the money for me. And by more money, it's probably 10 to 15 grand, just to put it in context, right? Because owner occupants can get FHI financing, 3% down. And these things are of such quality that owner occupants could get a FHI financing. So realize that when I say I'm not doing it for the money, I'm truly not doing it for the money. But then, that's kind of what the program is, right? Take something ugly and turn into something beautiful. But then what I'm also doing is if you happen to invest in Fresno where I am, I've had a team that I've built up over 15 years that I don't know if giveaway is the right word, make connections, whatever you want. So if you wanted, you can plug right in. There's a company called Regency Properties. I am family friends with the owner and founder, Brad Hardy. You will get introduced to him. He typically drives us around and shows us different assets when we're there. The team is almost 50 employees. I'm actually going to interview shortly the person that you would, be your point of contact, so you get to know her. So we do a lot of things. And then the last thing about the program is I don't ask for any commitments, right? I buy such ugly things. It typically takes me somewhere between 2 and 5 months before they're ready, because sometimes they are tenant occupied and you have to give 60-day notices. And I do everything above board. And then it takes 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending if permits are needed and all that stuff to go through. But what I look for is I try to buy something and then I advertise it to people, say, hey, would you like this one? No, just tell me, I'll write your name in pencil. And when it gets finished, if you decide you want it, great. If you decide you don't, great. Because there's lots of people looking for these things. So I don't ask for, I try to make it so easy for folks. I don't ask for anything. I typically do, especially if you're in the Bay Area. We typically drive up there together, right? We may meet there. We may drive together. An often meeting point for people in the Bay Area is Gilroy, right? We take 101, we go to 152 to 99. It's kind of an easy drive. But some people choose to meet at the office, meet the team. And then we drive around the city and sort of introduce you to, hey, here's where mom and, here's kind of low middle class, here's middle class. And oh, by the way, Fresno has some really, really nice areas, right? If you want to go invest in the Bluff and you want to see $1 million house, Fresno's got it, right? Because they got 1 million people in Fresno County. So we do lots of those things. And then most importantly, we walk through some finished products. We scare you with some ugly properties. We just immerse you as much as we can in a single day. And then if you want to go back again, right, Brad's got a big team and you're free to make, if you don't like Brad or you want your own team, or maybe you have family members that live there and you want to self-manage, it's fine by me. I have no skin in the game. So, I guess that's kind of a first walkthrough of the program. Did I deviate or did I go off track or anything?
No, that's great.
Okay.
So it seems very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like, I guess when you see, you might be able to see a property that you
Mm-hmm.
want or that you have available that's
Mm-hmm.
like maybe rough that
Yep.
that you just acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can kind of be involved a little bit in terms of seeing it through the renovation process until it's complete.
Yeah. Typically what I try to do is, in a day when we would go together, we would try to see 3 stages. We would try to see something that's finished, which isn't always possible because I don't like intruding on tenants if they've already moved in. But typically we have 1 or 2 that we can show that's finished or nearly finished. Try to show you something in the middle, right, where it's been trashed out, flooring's gone, bathroom's gone, kitchen's gone, just to show you, hey, this is what we do. We basically come in, we gut the inside, and we put it all back new. And then we always show you what slumlord properties look like, because sometimes it's nice to see, it gives some people a good feeling to go, wow, we're turning, that piece of junk into something, that is of quality. And then again, for some people that follow this channel are investing from the East Coast. So you'll see me record lots of sort of walkthrough videos. It's not done well, right? It's just on my iPhone. But I make an attempt to when I go down there to take video. It's typically 2 to 4 minutes, just a walkthrough and a discussion. But yeah, I put everything above board about what's going on, and you'll see all flavors: the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And then you place a tenant in there before the transaction is finalized.
I like to. Yeah, I like to. 99% of the time, I actually have one transaction now that doesn't have a tenant in it, but the buyer wanted to close because they had a rate lock, and they bought something else from me already, so they're going to close without a tenant. But that's the only one I've ever done that didn't have a tenant. But yeah, I want to put a tenant in actually before we go into escrow, because that's kind of what I want to do, right? I want to turn this ugly piece of junk into a beautiful thing, and then I want to stick a tenant in there. Again, I could make more money by selling it owner occupied and empty, but that's not my goal. I want to go stick a tenant in at 1150, 1200, 1250, 13, whatever the market will bear, and sell the asset already cash flowing day one to a technology or busy employee. Right. I don't want you to worry about, oh, it's vacant and what app do I do? And, all of that stuff. So yes, I try to sell in full. And
then after the transaction is closed, then you can work with your team, in case there's any tenant issues or. Yeah, you will be plugged right into the same team I have, assuming you choose to do that, right? You're free as an investor to go somewhere else if you want. But if you're in with my team, what I've worked out with Brad is he's given me an individual employee that's going to manage all of the people that buy my stuff. Which I hope to get her interviewed in the next week or two, so people can meet her, say, hey, tell me about yourself, how you're going to do it, and then you can set up communication and understand weekly reports or monthly reports, and how do you want to be shared? What's the communication look like? But in fairness, right, these things are 98% brand new. They've got a fully leased tenant, on a year lease. So my hope is repairs are very low, if not non-existent, for the first couple of years. And the tenants just keep playing like clockwork, which to date, knock on wood, all have since the program began 8 months ago with no problems. So my hope is it's just cash flow from day one. And, maybe there's some repairs in a couple of years, water heater or, something breaks, but it should be pretty simple. That's my goal or vision for this. So what if you get the tenant in place, everything's going great, and then let's say the rainy season starts and the new windows start to leak, or there's an issue, like something happened with the rehab that needs to be fixed that didn't happen, or there's so I'm doing all these things through general contractors. And if a brand new window, which I typically put in brand new windows, if a brand new window leaks, I'm going to call that general contractor and say, get your butt out there and fix the freaking window. Cause I give them, I don't know, 50 to 60 grand a month. So if he's not going to go fix one of his works, I'll go use somebody else. So if it's quality issues, that will be fixed on me. But tenants break stuff, right? Let's play the other game. Let's say they had a kid in there and they were playing ball and he broke a window, right? Well, that's part of being a landlord, right? So, that's something you have to deal with. Right? You obviously fix it, then you bill back the tenant and, do all of those things. So if it's tenant caused or tenant wear and tear, that's part of being a landlord. But yeah, if it's quality or shoddy work or, something like that, then the beauty is I give these general contractors a lot of work, and I will call them out and they will go fix it, or they will lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's great. That's totally fair. Totally understand. And how is the financing for this? Like, what's the options? Do we usually have to have like pre-qualification of a loan it's qualified and ready to go, or do you have other financing options for buyers? I mean, so I again, I work with people pretty casually. If people are interested, they just tell me and I write their name in pencil. I don't look for pre-call letters. Maybe I should, maybe if I wanted to get really big, which I don't, I'll go that way. But no, I just look for interest and someone who's comfortable with the deal. Cause everybody I've told I've told them up front, this is the price. This is what I expect the rent to be. And then in 4 or 5 months, it's happened one time. The rent was $50 lower than I expected. So I lowered the price $3,000. But you go through a full title, full escrow, you get the appraisal, you do everything to protect yourself. I strongly recommend when you get started, you go get the cheapest financing possible, which is typically bank financing. Okay.
I suggest 30-year financing. Some of the people that are investing with me that are in our 40s, like myself and yourself,
Yeah.
some of them have chosen 15-year loans. I don't recommend it.
Mhm.
But, we talked about it and they said, well, my kid's graduating in 15 years and I want this free and clear to be their college education. I'm like, okay, realize I don't suggest that, but it's your investment. Do what you're comfortable with. Right. So they did that. So worst case, I would do a 30-year loan and just pay it off like 15. But again, they chose to go the other route, which is totally fine. So I would suggest bank financing. I would suggest at least 30% down because again, your day job is already demanding enough. You don't need to look for maximum leverage. Right. We're not at that point in our careers, right? We have a little bit extra cash and the key is to make it easy and a no-brainer. So that's what I recommend.
Great. And you just mentioned you do an appraisal and we can do an inspection before
Oh
just
yeah.
to make sure there's no major issues.
Yeah, you do everything that you would do if you were buying it from a stranger. In fact, I fully support that, and I want you to do that because you need to be comfortable with it. This is yours, right? You're not going to buy something from some guy on YouTube that you never met or whatever. You need to, right? We got burned in the .com crash. You remember that
Yeah,
Pets.com and all that, web van.
exactly.
Jeez,
Exactly.
how silly were we?
Please.
Yeah.
And we're to
So
the age where we can't recover for another big loss. We didn't really need to be smarter when we make our decisions now.
yeah. So do everything you can to protect yourself, right? Which means you're going to spend a little money. You'll probably spend, I don't know, $800 probably between the appraisal, which may or may not be inside the loan. I don't know on which loan you're going to get, but your inspections, you're going to get an inspection and they're going to go through it and they're going to tell you what's up. So please
Okay.
do that. I strongly recommend it.
Okay, now I know this is a crazy question, and if you
Okay.
don't feel comfortable answering, I understand.
Okay.
And let's go back 15 years, and let's assume
Sure.
that you're starting again. You got your 40 grand, and you
Yeah.
want to do the Fresno thing, and you've got this plan in place, and then you meet a Michael Zuber, just like yourself, and you see this great program.
Yeah.
And how would you get comfortable? Like, what would you require from a program like that to feel comfortable?
Yeah.
With moving forward with the purchase?
I would have to, so that's a great question. And I've talked about this in the book a couple, and I've done some videos on it. What I really needed to understand, and I didn't get 15 years ago, was the quality difference, right? All I saw was cheap property and what I thought was expensive, right? But what I didn't appreciate was the cheap property. Let's just use some rough numbers. Let's say a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, either 150 perfect, right? What I call pride of ownership, or 100 cheap, just for easy math.
Mm-hmm.
My eyes immediately went to the 100K because you know what? 100 is less than 150, right?
Yeah.
That catches my attention. But what I didn't appreciate, didn't realize until I really did some self-reflection is that 100K house is cheap, but consumed too much cash. Because when I bought the cheap house, I ideally had to raise rents, which then the tenant revolted because they don't want to pay market rent for an ugly property. They probably stopped paying rent, which in California means I have an eviction on my hands that could take 3 months. So now I've made 3 mortgage payments and not received a penny of rent. Then when they leave, because they eventually leave 3-4 months out, the sheriff shows up and they leave. I then have to go in and spend between 20 and 30 grand repairing it, which when I did it, I was like, great. I just made $20,000 in equity, right? Because I bought it for 100 and I spent 30 and it's worth 150. Are you with me? I think we froze. Hi, Linda. Are you there? All right. Well, I'll continue with the example and see if we catch up. So